We've got a trade alert for you guys. In the words of Harrison Graham here at Chat Sports, wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. The Seattle Seahawks have shipped Ahkello Witherspoon to the Pittsburgh Steelers. A little inside joke and fun here at Chat Sports. Witherspoon, who had signed with Seattle this offseason, it had appeared he was going to be the starter for the Seahawks at one of the cornerback spots. But as the preseason and training camp went along, the team began to sour on him. Now they've shipped him off to Pittsburgh. In the process, by the way, Pittsburgh is going to take on the $1.5 million base salary that Witherspoon is owed. The rest of that 1 year fully guaranteed $4 million deal is still owed by the Seahawks. That will be paid out over this year and next year. So the Seahawks do still save a little bit of money with this particular move. That is at least noteworthy for the parties involved, as the Seahawks save some money for a corner they were apparently out on, while the Steelers get some extra depth at the cornerback position. That does seem noteworthy for both teams involved, so of course we'll break this down for both sides. It's a bit of an interesting and I would almost argue surprising move. There's some very noteworthy developments that have gone along this offseason for the Steelers at corner and for the Seahawks at corner. Pittsburgh at one point seemed like they were in pretty good shape, but then Steven Nelson wants out and he ends up leaving. And now the Seahawks have drastically overhauled their entire cornerback room, and that is significant for Pittsburgh and for Seattle. Again, we do not have right now, as we sit here filming this, the trade details. My suspicion is that this will end up being probably a day 3 pick of some type, be it this year or next year. I don't think you're going to see a situation where the Steelers have given up significant amounts of money. If I'm wrong, then, or not money, of draft capital. If I'm wrong, then okay. It is what it is at that point, but I think given that Witherspoon had been benched, I think it is far more likely that it ends up being a late day 3 pick going back to Seattle. Now, if I am correct in that, who do you think won the trade? Get your votes in for me in the comments section. Type SEA for the Seattle Seahawks or type in PIT for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sometimes I like to do just type the first letter of the team's nickname. Well, it's both S's. So a bit more for you guys to do here. SEA for Seattle or PIT for the Steelers. Let's break this down more in depth now from both sides and both teams' perspectives here. Let's start with Seattle, and we'll spend some time on this graphic because there's a lot to break down here. I'm going to list DJ Reed as cornerback 1. I think that's the likely outcome right now for Seattle. He's been a bit banged up, but he's going to be one starter. As we mentioned on our most recent Seattle Seahawks video, Trey Flowers is now in line to be cornerback 2. We're less than a week removed from one of the top beat writers for the Seattle Seahawks saying it was likely that Trey Flowers was going to end up being cut. That is not the end result. He's now going to start. And the bottom of this cornerback room has been very much overhauled. Sidney Jones was acquired in a trade from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nigel Warrior was claimed off waivers from the Baltimore Ravens. Trey Brown, a 4th-round rookie, is now in position to be, I think, maybe cornerback 3 by the end of the year, not including the nickel, which will be Marquise Blair or Ugo Amadi. So this Seahawks secondary, I think if we're being objective and honest, it is not what we thought it was going to be, and it should be a concern. This cornerback room is not that good right now. Now, the pass rush for Seattle, it is very good. And I think that's going to help benefit the secondary, but this is a very young and very unproven and frankly not that highly invested in secondary. Trey Flowers, the most expensive guy, he's costing like $2 million and change. That's it. DJ Reed is a very cheap but a quality player. Sidney Jones, Trey Brown, Nigel Warrior. Look, Nigel Warrior and Sidney Jones were cast-offs. Though their teams didn't want them anymore. I mean, DJ Reed was the same thing. Of course, he developed way better than even I thought, who I liked him a lot coming out of Kansas State. Trey Flowers has been very inconsistent. This Seahawks secondary should be a bit of a concern. Now, as for the Steelers side of things, they've got that very talented secondary safety-wise. I love Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's one of my favorite players in the NFL. The cornerback room has also undergone some change. You know, Joe Hayden entering now the last year of his deal and has said that he's not going to re-sign with Seattle right now, or with Pittsburgh right now. He's going to let test free agency next year. He's cornerback 1. Cam Sutton, James Pierre both have some inside-outside flexibility. They'll probably end up being whatever order it ends up being in the season. Cornerback 2 and 3, 1 nickel, 1 outside, whatever. Justin Lane is a former third-round pick out of Michigan State. I like his upside. Hasn't been there yet. Arthur Mallett also on the roster, but the addition of Ahkello Witherspoon, I think at minimum means he's going to be the number 1 backup on the outside. Now, I like adding corners. It's very difficult to find quality corners out there in the NFL, and I think Witherspoon has the potential to be that guy for Pittsburgh. So with all that in mind, grade the trade for me. How you feeling about this one? Get your votes in for me right now in the comment section. A, B, C, D, or F. Now, Witherspoon last year was actually a member of the San Francisco 49ers. Aside, I'm a little bit intrigued by the fact that the Jets apparently did not go after him, given, you know, all the issues they've got to corner, but that's beside the point. Witherspoon has shown promise. He's been up and down. He's been inconsistent. He hasn't been a reliable player overall in terms of making a big impact in the NFL. He's been up and down, inconsistent, and I guess there was too much inconsistency for the Seahawks to keep him. Now, I do want to mention this note, by the way, in terms of the potential trade impact here. Allegedly, and this is according to one of the Spotrac guys who tracks, or Spotrac guys who track the compensation draft picks and everything. The report is that because Witherspoon was a comp free agency signing, by the Steelers acquiring him via a trade, the Steelers will then cancel out one of their comp picks, a 2023 or 2022 fifth-round pick. That trade will, or that comp pick will be canceled out. I'm double-checking right now what the Seahawks side of it is here. I don't think that still ends up being the impact there. But that trade will cancel out a fifth-round 2022 comp pick that the Steelers had gotten in exchange for the departure of Matt Fielder. So if that is true, that is significant. And then for the Steelers side here, or for the Seahawks side, they don't end up getting any comp pick relief, so they're still going to count against them from that perspective. So I kind of bumbled my way through that. So to recap it more briefly and more succinctly, with this trade, the Seahawks side of it, they get no comp pick relief. It still counts on their books. Because the Steelers have gone out and traded for Witherspoon, who was a comp pick qualifying free agent, they will not get the planned 2022 fifth-round pick they were going to get back for Matt Fielder. So keep that stuff in mind. There is some added impact beyond the money, assuming that report from Spotrac is indeed accurate. Now, I'm going to let you guys in on a secret here. We're actually posting this on both our Seahawks channel and our Steelers channel, the simul post, because, I don't think there are very many Steelers and Seahawks fans out there. So whatever channel you're watching on, hit that big red button and subscribe. We wanted to keep you guys covered on this trade, so I'm getting 2 birds stoned at once, if you will. Hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/SteelersTV, or if you're watching our Seahawks channel, youtube.com/SeahawksTV, and yes, there will be plenty of more videos coming throughout the season.